Hello and welcome back to another opposition preview here on the Last Word on Spurs. Games coming thick and fast. Next up for Tottenham Hotspur is Champions League group stage games once again. I'm delighted to be joined by Sam Fonseca from the Sporting podcast, giving us his thoughts ahead of Tottenham Hotspur taking on Sporting at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Wednesday. Sam, how are you firstly?
All right, mate. Thank you for having me on again. I really do appreciate it. We were just talking before we came on, and we said both teams are in sort of a rut of form at the moment, so it's definitely going to be an interesting result. Definitely not one that's a sort of clear-cut prediction, I think. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think at the moment, Sam, the last thing I actually want to do is talk about football because from a Spurs perspective, it just isn't going quite well. I'm sure the same for Sporting, which you're going to let us on about, is that the form hasn't been great for Sporting either. I mean, give us a flavour of what's happened since the last time the two clubs have met. What's the form been like for Sporting?
Yeah, so I believe when we last played, we had only lost 2 games, one to Porto and one to a newly promoted team. But since then, we've lost to Boavista, who are a good team, sort of mid-table team in our league. We then lost back-to-back to Marseille, getting 3 red cards over 2 games. And we did get embarrassed in the first one as well. And then also we've got the sort of our equivalent of the FA Cup. We lost to a third division team, so it'd be sort of the equivalent of Tottenham losing to Stevenage in that aspect. But yeah, we lost that game as well. And Ruben Amorim, as our coach, has been linked away to Aston Villa. He was the heavy favourite until this morning, but now I think Unai Emery's overtaken him. But there's still some questions about his future. Whereas, like, if he leaves, if he gets sacked, he's definitely under a lot of pressure. But yeah, our team, luckily on Saturday, we managed to get a result 3-1 at home, which was a good change of pace. But we did unfortunately go 1-0 down at half time. But luckily, we were able to bring it back. So I'm hoping this is sort of a start of an upward trend instead of a back to the downwards one. Yeah, but we're definitely under a lot of pressure, especially the last 2 games in the Champions League, losing to Marseille. And obviously, we've got a few players suspended as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it just feels on both sides at the moment. There's a real uncertainty in terms of maybe team selection. There's obviously that situation now for Spurs. It's a game every 3 days. So it is a real insane amount of games coming thick and fast for Spurs at the weekend without Højbjerg, Romero. I think you can see the difference in Tottenham at the fact where they lacked real leadership. And I just wonder, Sam, approaching the game, obviously you mentioned Sporting not coming into this in the greatest form. Will this be a welcome distraction for them, or do you feel that form will also play into this game against Spurs in the Champions League?
I don't know. The way I see it is because the last 2 games in the Champions League have been so bad, it's difficult to get worse. Not that I'll put it past them or anything, but in the last Marseille game, we probably had 2 red cards. So, like I said, we've got Pedro Gonçalves, who's one of our main attackers, suspended. But the person who got sent off in our defence, Ricardo Esgaio, is not really well liked by the Sporting fans a lot. So he's not really going to be a miss, and he's also a backup. We've now got Pedro Porro returning from injury, who is, in my opinion, one of the best right backs in Portugal. He got called up to Spain a few times, and he's still young, but I think he's definitely a game changer for us. But looking at it, I'm just hoping that at this point, it's win or nothing really. We've had such bad results against Marseille, and obviously Frankfurt are still there. We still got a game against them. We need to win, and I think that's what we're going into London to do. To hopefully get that win. I think, in my opinion, obviously it's going to be a tough game, no doubt about it. But if we don't win, then questions got to be asked of the team and the coach. You know, we were sitting first only a month ago now. And we could end up this game week, I believe. I still think we could finish 4th in this game week if certain results happen. But yeah, definitely questions got to be asked. But I think we're under a lot of pressure. But at the same time, I think most Sporting fans and the Sporting team are going out there to win, not to play for a draw or anything, but to come away with those 3 points.
Just intrigued to know from you, Sam, looking from the outside at Spurs at the moment, what do you make of them as a club? I mean, I know it's been a difficult few weeks. I think the last time we had you on, Spurs were unbeaten, actually, I think, in all competitions. Sporting inflicting, I think, Spurs' first defeat of the season in a matter where really Marcus Edwards was the shining light on the day for Sporting. What do you make of Spurs at the moment under Conte for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've had a few bad results. I watched the game against Newcastle, and obviously you wouldn't like to lose, but Newcastle are still a good team. And like you said, I think you lack some leadership at the back with Højbjerg and Romero. I really rate Romero. I think he's a top class centre back. I know you've had a few injuries as well this year, which haven't gone your way. But I think the last two results against Man United and Newcastle, obviously, I know you would prefer to have won those games, but there are games that you can look back and say, there were mistakes, of course, but I think you've still got the talent and you've definitely got the right manager to turn it around as well. That's all it is, really. I think last time against Sporting, I don't know what went wrong for Spurs, but let's be honest, it all unfolded in the 90th minute. So obviously, you didn't score, but it was still a good defensive performance, I would say, from you. There was a few chances that Marcus Edwards managed to get through, but other than that, we were pretty quiet for most of the game until the 90th minute, wherever that was a lapse in concentration or something else. But I still think Spurs will be heavy favourites for this game. They still got great players, still got great attacking press. And Richarlison actually gave an interview to, I believe it was one of the Portuguese newspapers, saying that they're coming back with a different mentality and that they know Sporting are a good side, but they know that they can play better. So I think Spurs are definitely coming back for a revenge game as well, especially at your home ground. I know we're going to bring a few supporters with us, but I think with the home advantage, I think you should be heavy favourites. Especially, I know you talk about form, but from what I can see, I would say we've been in worse form, especially in Europe over the last month or so.
Obviously, as I mentioned, he caught the eye previously. That's Marcus Edwards. Would you imagine he'll start for Sporting on Wednesday evening back at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
Yeah, I think so. So we got Pedro Gonçalves suspended due to a second yellow he picked up in the Marseille game. So I would guess the front three would be Trincao on the left, Marcus Edwards on the right, and then Paulinho, who scored against you in the first goal, will be up top. Marcus Edwards was played up top for us against you in the first leg, and he's been playing striker quite a lot. But I think due to the suspension, he'll probably get moved out onto the right and have Paulinho, who's really our only registered pure striker to play. But yeah, I think he's going to have something to prove. He's been great this season, even though we've not been in good form. He scored really important goals, one against Frankfurt, and obviously that wonder run against you, which generally, if he did go in, was probably going to be one of the goals of the season. I know it's early, but it was just such fantastic footwork. And obviously, I'm not comparing the two players, but I can sort of understand Pochettino's comparison to a mini Messi, the way he's runs with the ball, the low centre of gravity and everything like that. But like I said, I'm not comparing the two players, but he's just so phenomenal. And I think he's probably going to be the game changer. I would say Marcus Edwards and Pedro Porro for me, the two, they play on the same side as well, a right back and a right wing. So I think those are the two that Spurs really need to look out for this game.
And also have interest, how do you expect Sporting to approach the game, Sam? Obviously, you've mentioned the fact that they're coming off of consecutive defeats. They're not in the greatest run of form. They've got obviously some suspensions as well going into this one. So therefore, the fact that Sporting, you feel, probably need to win in order to be in a position where they can really try and qualify, how do you expect them to approach the game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
So it's a difficult one because with the run of form, we've entered what the manager has called a new cycle, which is bringing loads of youth players from the academy and giving them minutes. We saw 2 senior debuts last game against Casapia on the weekend, 19 and 18 years of age players that come on a centre mid and a centre back. Whether they're going to play against Spurs is another question. But there's definitely a sense of youth around the team. Our captain as well, Sebastian Coates, who you probably know from Liverpool and Sunderland, is injured as well, so he definitely won't be playing. So if I were just to run through the team, I'd probably say Adan in goal because he's coming back from suspension. Centre-backs will be Gonzalo Inacio, Jose Marsa, who's actually from the Barcelona Academy, who we managed to pick up. Seems like a really good raw prospect as well, so I think he'll start. And Mateus Reis on the left, Nuno Santos on the right, Pedro Porro. The 2 midfields of Ugarte and Morita, because they're always the 2 midfielders. They haven't been dropped as of yet, and they're just fantastic as well. As I mentioned, the front three before of Marcus Edwards, Paulinho, and Trincao. I'll be very surprised if there's any changes in there, unless there's an injury or anything else. But I can see the exact same formation we played against you in the first leg, just with a few different players. I think, to be fair, that's what we need to do. We need to sort of just get back into the swing of things like we did in the last game against you, and hopefully. I want to see some of these youth players come on and show that they're the start as well. So it might be the senior players start and then some of the youth players come on, which I think is likely to happen. But yeah, I think we're in for a good game, definitely with that team I've listed.
As you said there, Sam, the change that you're making there for Sporting, they're rather in force rather than the case that you wanted to make some of those changes down to obviously suspension. In terms of the game itself, how do you expect it to play out in terms of the way, as we've mentioned, Sporting to approach the game? Probably need to come and win. Do you think it'd be a fairly close encounter between the two sides? You expected lots of goals, bearing in mind Spurs' recent form at the moment?
I mean, I would like to say it's a close game, but just because of our form in Europe recently, I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham ran away with it quite early. Obviously, I want Sporting to win and get a result, but the way we played against Marseille, we got a red card from our goalkeeper in the 20th minute, and then which is absurd enough. And then in the next game, our right back got sent off in like the 25th minute. So it's just like anything can happen. Hopefully, there's not another red card coming. But I think it all depends on team structure, really. Our team, especially in the past, has a tendency when they get a goal down to sort of lose their heads, and we're not very good at making a comeback. Apart from last Saturday when we played, like I said, we were 1-0 down at half time and managed to bring the result back. But that was really unlike us, to be fair. But yeah, I think, like I said, Spurs will be the heavy favourites. If we do go out and get a result, then I'll be over the moon. But as I see it now, I think Spurs should be the favourites. And if I were to say, I think maybe Spurs 2-0. That's what I predicted last time as well.
You did, yeah, you did.
Ended up the other way. So I'm sort of hoping for maybe the same fortunes in there. But yeah, I reckon it's Spurs' game to lose.
It's interesting you say that. I mean, we definitely need to have a bounce back. Tottenham, like I say, the back-to-back defeats have really, really hurt the side. And I think, Sporting represents an opportunity where Spurs can get things back on track at home in front of the fans, where, like I've said, that display against Newcastle just simply wasn't good enough. The mistakes that we're making are just really, really concerning at the moment. And I suppose the last question I've got to ask you, Sam, is where will the game be won and lost for Sporting?
I think it's... I was going to give two, if that's okay. So definitely our defence. Like I said, our captain is injured. When your captain is injured, it's difficult to command the defence. Our captain, I believe, will be our goalkeeper, who's the most experienced in the squad at 35 years of age. But yeah, without that main centre-back, it could be a chance that the team sort of crumbles and doesn't have that leadership. But also, we've been really struggling for goals. Paulinho is our striker and has only scored 2 goals this season. Obviously, one of them being the sort of the winner against Spurs, I suppose. But he struggled for fitness as well. Trincao has also had a sort of off and off season. He scored great goals, and then also he'll score great goals, and then the game after will just ghost and it won't play well. But one thing to say, Marcus Edwards will definitely prove his worth. I think he's arguably been one of our best players, along with someone like Nuno Santos, in terms of attacking mobility. So I think definitely our attacking defence. Our midfield is always the same. I have no doubts that they'll look out to control the game, and I've really been impressed with our midfield. But yeah, I think your Harry Kane, you can never write him out of a game, especially against our centre backs. Like I said, Jose Marsa he's only come into the team this year. This is his first professional season, so it might be a struggle for him to contain Harry Kane. But yeah, I think definitely our defence and our attack is definitely the where the game could be won and lost.
It's going to be interesting, like I say, Sam. I mean, you're expecting an element of goals because of Sporting's poor form as a Spurs fan. I think we find ourselves probably in our most tricky moment of the season. So it will make for a real enticing game on Wednesday night. Thank you so much, Sam. Like I say, if we end up seeing you guys in the latter stages of the competition, or dare I say us dropping into the Europa League, anything's possible. We may cross paths again this season. Sam, anyone wants to find out latest news on Sporting, everything that goes on, where can they tune in and find out all the information via your channel? Yeah, it's at Sporting160_EN on Twitter and TikTok. TikToks are just condensed podcasts, just in case you don't have time to listen to the whole thing. And also just saying, if you see me out there, I'll be wearing a bright yellow top because I'll be going to the Spurs game. Feel free to say hello. I'm a very friendly person. So yeah, if you see I'm out there, just say hello, and I'm glad to have a chat with you. They'll be avoiding you, Sam, at full time if it all goes absolutely wrong. I can tell you that, most certainly. I'll be doing the same, don't worry. I bet bright yellow might be hard to get away. But honestly, go and say hello to Sam. Been great for us on Last Word on Spurs. Sam, thank you so much for the back-to-back previews. Really appreciate it. And we look forward to hopefully, like I say, crossing paths with you guys again in the near future. But hopefully not too long, depending on, obviously, how these results go. Thank you so much again, Sam. No worries. I would say good luck, but I want you to lose. So, yeah, be a good game, I reckon. Appreciate it. Thanks so much, Sam. Really appreciate it. And guys, thanks again for all your support. We're back with you on Wednesday evening for instant post-match reaction to Spurs against Sporting. As always, please keep safe, keep well,